Hello everyone, my name is Milan Khanal and I will be talking about project management. So, I will be also talking about some of the assignment given to me in terms of designing the project and also the AI and software development lifecycle. I will be also talking about some of the tools that is needed in a project designing phase that take project from scratch to the production. So with this regards, I was given an assignment of employee attendance management system with a given time frame of 1 month as a deadline in that project. So I followed the agile methodology for that using Jira and made a plan according to that. So the first plan is about designing the release plan. So when we talk about the release plan, it's something that gives us about the product management, that gives the nature of software development as a part of approach, team plan iterative sprints across some of the increment releases, might be build release or some of the alpha beta releases that is based on the project. So in other words, instead of trying to develop every proposed feature in one large regimented project, the agile software development life cycles break down the development processes into the stages called releases. So in this context, releases are essentially periods of time set. So we can say that. So despite its name, agile release planning is highly structured. Each step is carefully outlined and measured to create high-level project calendars for teams to follow. You can see in the diagram how the release plan, when we design a release plan, we have to take care of 4 different aspects. That is, constant informal communication with product owners. Also, we have to show our participation in the release management team, also in the demos of the iterations or of the sprint. Also, we have to do the assessment of the release status. So doing this kind of things will always help us to make a great release plan. So feature development within an iteration as well as the plans for each iteration is one of the important factor that is needed while we plan a release. So moving forward, for the project given, I have designed that my sprint will be for 4 weeks. That is, 4 weeks is called 1 month time of project, where 1 week will be for one sprint, which will be working on iterations. So the next thing is, while we design a release plan, defining the vision of the product is really necessary. So this is the thing that I am going to look for. Also, I'm also going to review the product backlog and rank the features according to the priority. And also plan and hold a release planning meeting with no any push to staging after 4:30 p.m. every day. Also, I will be reviewing the roadmap in the Jira as well as some of the project management tool that will be used in this. Stakeholders should review the architecture and technical details for the release. So it will also come in the sprint plan. The stakeholders who are responsible to receive the product, we will also have to review so that we can get the clear feedback as soon as possible. So reviewing velocity and iteration schedule of the team is also needed in the release plan, and I'm also going to plan according to it. So following the planning meeting, finalizing details, making last adjustment, and then setting the product release calendar with all the stakeholders. Everyone should have ongoing access to the release plan for reference and updates. The Scrum release plan will help the team to stay focused on the right task at the right time. That is why the release plan is always needed. So, this is how I have designed the release plan in Excel for now to track the progress and monitor what are the things that has to be done and what will be done on the specific time frame. So in the release planning, before starting any kind of sprint, so we will be prioritizing the backlog, we will be defining the stories, we will be doing the estimation about how many developers and how many time it will take. Also, we will be giving some initial release plan, and also we will be talking about some of the wireframes, and also we will be having a proper communication with the developers about the scope of this project, as well as the motivation behind why this project is being delivered. So this is really important in terms of communication, that developers need to understand what is the core thing that this project wants to deliver. So this is how the release plan will be delivered. So talking about the Jira Dashboard filters and features, so I will be switching my screen to the Jira Dashboard. So switching back from slide to the Jira free version board. So I have created a employee attendance management system. This one board for it, which includes the to-do option, in the board in progress option, code review option, ready for test, done option. So I have already started the sprint, and these are the tickets that is available on the first sprint. So yes, let us see the backlog for this. So the sprint is of 1 week for 4 weeks. I have designed 1 week as one sprint 1, and second week as a sprint 2, and third week as a sprint 3, and fourth week as a fourth sprint. And I have created tickets for sprint 1 and sprint 2, but I have created the backlogs which is kept here, which will be used to design the sprint 3 and sprint 4, and also the bugs and other things will be added in the backlog with the time in the sprint 1 and the sprint 2. So I have created the storyboard as well. So in the storyboard, the description has been provided for the developers, that the application has to be made with the scopes of the daily attendance, leave tracking, holiday tracking. Also it should include the features, include the feature filtered by the component and epic. So expected MVP is attached in the storyboard. So is the wireframe available, and the design is subject to the change, because we have not received any kind of wireframe to design a fixed layout for it. So I have given a reference layout and reference design for the developers to work on some of the features. And also we have some entities in the backlog, also in the sprint, about login entity, leave entity, salary entity, employee entity, holiday entity, attendance entity. So we have created that as a task, so we can assign it from here. If we add more developers on it, we can give a story point, and also link this task with epic also, and also with the storyboard, so that it will be easy for us to track the tickets and also to track the task, which also can be said as like that. If there is an epic which is a wider range of details, and if we break down in some of the task or some of the subtask bug, and if we link that with epic, which epic we want to work with, then our feature will be related to that ticket, so that it will be easy for us to track on some of the features which is really needed on that, and some of the features that has been done. So it's a process of filtering the data, filtering the tickets, and knowing it will be easy for a PM and other persons who are involved on it to see the report. And yeah, of course, I have created the epic. So do epic with the details provided to that, and linked the storyboard and task to the epic relatively for the demo. And yeah, so there is a filter. So I have kept filter option here. I have kept for my easy for the demo. So it is done with the component and it is filtered with the epic. So in the component part, so I have assigned it with the task and subtask, so you can always see the report of the components. So if we are in the rush to see what are the things that has been done in the task list, what are the things that has been on the task list, then we can always go by the filter and select the components and select the task that is needed. So you can always change it with what are the things that you want to see in the component thing, and you can always save it from here and give a new name, or you can create your own issues as well, and also you can create your own filter. It's according to the need of the project. And yeah, also same goes with the epic. So it's a highlighted, so you can always download the data from Excel or Google Sheet, so that if you want to give some report to your managers or to the client about what are the features that need to be done, or what are the things going on this side, you can always download the data from here, and you can do it. So I'm recording the screen, so the popping up option will not allow me to do. And also talking about roadmap. So the roadmap can be seen from here, when the tickets and the epic details will be provided with all the details that is needed for that project. So we can see the week report, the monthly report, and the quarter reports according to the need. So it will be easy for you to see and track the progress report and velocity of your team, and also see if you could reach the deadline or not with the velocity report and the roadmap. And you can always export it from here and get the report, and you can always find that estimated timeline for the project. So basically, Agile will kill your hope. That means it will give the data on your hand, and it will kill your hope of, I might have done that till February or March, but the data shows that you have to do it by January last. So it will destroy the hope. So that is why it is an Agile process. So that is the beauty of an Agile. And also it is done, backlog is done, board is done. Yeah, for now that's it for the Jira dashboard, and we will be switching back to the presentation. And the presentation is about the so my next slide will be about the expected resources. So my expected resources will be one backend full-time mid-level developer and one front-end full-time mid-level developer and one QA junior level or a trainee level, so that I could manage the project and finish with the deadline. And of course, this project will be for 1 month, where I will be designing 3 weeks for the feature and 1 week for the testing and pushing to production phase. So my next slide will be about, for the given project, if you fall short of 2 engineers to complete the project on set time, for how would you think it would impact the project, and how would you handle the following cases? Hiring is a viable option. Hiring is not a viable option. See, so if we need a developers, if we need engineers, and client also wants to have engineers in the team, then it's always a positive and always a right move to hire a viable option for the project. Also, if the task has become more dependent to the other engineers, then it's always a viable option to hire for an option, as it will be really needed for someone to distribute their task. And also, if they work in a team, then they will be getting some more ideas for the project. So in case if a project fall of 2 engineers to complete the project on the set time, then if we do not have internal resources to fulfill that gap, because hiring process will take a long time, and to get a right developer and starting it from the code base will be a bit a lengthy process. So if we have some developers who knows the code base, who can learn the code base really soon and is with the same stack, we can replace the developer from our internal team, and we can replace him in a team and give that task to the developer. In that situation, if the project deadline is really near, we don't think of option to hire new developer, because for a new developer it will take a bit of 1 month of time to settle down with all the requirements, and we don't have that much of time to hold on to the project. And of course, hiring will be also a viable option, because for the future purpose, if this kind of situation arises, so if so there should be someone to fulfill the vacant position, and also there should be someone who could give guidance and support to other projects if other developers is being shifted to the deadline approaching project. So we should think about the hiring some viable option to give support to the development team, and also prepare about the human resources that is needed before we approve any kind of project. So if before we approve any kind of project, or if there is any project in the pipeline, so we should be always aware that we have the enough resources available for the project. If not, how can we manage it? If hiring is a viable option, if switching some developers to the new project will be a viable option. So we need to think in terms of that, and these things should come before we start the project. So these things should be coming up in the pipeline phase. So this is how we tackle this situation. So so moving forward, release management is about seeing overall stages involved in a software release, from development and testing to the deployment. Release management is required anytime a new product or even changes to our existing product are requested. So there are 5 processes of the release management, and that is plan, build, test, prepare, and deployment. So, Agile release planning is a product management method where you plan incremental releases of a product. It differs from traditional software planning, where you focus on major releases. In Agile releases planning, you prepare for the stage releases and then break those down into the several different sprints or iterations. So you can see in the figure as well about the plan release, build release, test user acceptance, prepare release, deploy release. So we can see in the plan release, it's about the foundation. So in this foundation, we need to be prepared about the defining your vision, rank the product backlog, hold a release plan meeting, describe the roadmap, review architectures, review the velocity and iteration schedules, and define things that could be done in the planning as well. So this is the thing that is needed on the plan release. Once you prepare a document for the plan release, you share that document to your stakeholders, or you send that document to the senior management and high level leaders. They will be reviewing your plan release, and if the things are okay, then they will be giving us a green signals where they will be where the plan release will includes the timelines, delivery dates, requirements, the overall scope of the project. So there are multiple ways to map out your plan and clarify the process. So one option is a release management checklist. So if we follow this release management checklist, and once your plan is scratched out, present it to all the stakeholders, and once they give their feedback on any gaps or any problems they see in the requirement or the scope, then once the plan is approved and finalized, you can put into the action. So this is how the plan release is important. So talking about the build release, with the release plan finalized, you can start designing and building the product for release. So this is the actual development of the product based on the requirement outlined in the release plan. Once all the issues that may have come up are addressed, it's time to subject the real world scenario testing. So this could take several iterations. It might be take alpha version, beta version, or theta version according to the project. As the team builds out the product, it is sent, usually automatically, to a testing environment for user acceptance. This allows the team to identify any bugs or issues that may arise in the real-world environment. As issues are identified, the build is sent back to the development at stage 2. In other words, within the iterative release management process, the work may follow from stage 2 to 3 and back again until the release is approved. So this is how it goes on, and the next will be the test user acceptance or user acceptance testing, which is usually called as UAT. So user acceptance testing, also known as the UAT or test user acceptance, as we talked already about it, it is often done as the free beta trial online or shared with the larger group of employees within the company. So as I was going through my Jira Dashboard in the above application, it will be all about the beta testing, user testing, and if iteration is required, it is sent back to the build release from the user test acceptance. As user acceptance testing is the most crucial step to release management because of the amount of data collected and fix required in order to build to where it needs to be for the official launch. As noticed earlier, this is a part of an iterative process. As bugs are identified, the team goes back to the drawing board to fix the issues and redesign the build for greater integrity. The build must pass the test stage to consider for the final implementation and release. Sometimes, or usually, developers or project managers, when things are good with the test user acceptance, and they send their features to the staging so that it can also be reviewed by the QA team, where they also can get preparation for the pre-release part. So yeah, it's about the identifying the bugs and redoing the thing and refollowing the iteration if required, and going back to the build. So it's about going from code review to again in progress in Jira board. If something is missing or something is needed to fix. About the prepare release. So this step is to put the finishing touches on the product, taking into the account that everything was learned in the test user acceptance. So release preparation also includes a final quality review by the QA team. So this is the place where the QA team will have the final quality review. So during the review, the QA team will conduct final checks to ensure the build meets the minimum acceptance standards and business requirements outlined in the release plan. So once the review is completed, the functional team will validate the findings and finalize the release for the deployment. Before the build can deploy into a live environment, it must be approved by the product owner. So for the project that has given to us, so we can always go for alpha test in the build release, and also for the beta test in the test user acceptance, and if the iteration is required, so it will be sent back to the build release as well. And in the prepare release, we have to solve all the bugs, do the refactoring, and also the QA team will be finalizing the product, which is ready to go for the deployment. So in the deployment release, after all the process has been completed, talking about the recent project, so after completing all the factors of the employee attendance management system and fixing all the bugs, the big day has arrived now as one of the deployment. And so the big day has arrived, and here is where all your team hard work pays off. So that is why I said, when I planned the release plan, I said we are not going to post anything to the production after 4:30, because we need to completely check all the things. And if we take our features to the production in the last moment, and if anything either comes, then we have to wait a whole day, or we have to awake if the project is urgent and is on the live situation, or we have to awake, which is not a best practice in the project management. Working more is not a best practice in the project management when not required. We have to plan it ahead for that. So besides simply sending the build out into the production, the deployment stage also includes messaging and education on your product to the both end user and your company at large. So finally, during the deployment stage, the deployment teams should meet access the release performance and discuss how the deployment went. And if there are any lingering issues, those should be identified and documented for the team to address in the next iteration. So there is always a second version. If something goes wrong, there is always a second version for it. So that is why if the project delivery is on January, we have to complete all the features and be ready for the production before last week of the December, so that if there is something that needs to be added or there is something that needs to be figured out, we can always recheck for that features. So of course, development, peer review, QA, pre-production, and going to the production. So in the pre-production, there will be AWS connecting to some of the availability in Zone A and Zone B, and in the production it will be going to the internet with a load balancer, and also depending upon the project, which will be deployment completed successfully, and that will be the end of the project. So moving forward, the question was about how do you convince your customer if he did not like the final product and he rejected the final product that we made. How do you convince the customer? So my approach of writing an email will be, so dear sir, madam, greeting from our XYZ company. I'm writing this with reference to your previous email on date 28 Jan 2021 about your dissatisfaction of the final product. Thank you for letting us know about your situation. I can understand that it's frustrating to see the final product not as expected. We take customer satisfaction seriously and are glad to hear from you. First, I would like to apologize for the dissatisfaction you have been experiencing recently with the product. I want you to know that we appreciate your feedback. It will allow us to resolve any problems that occur and help us to improve our services. We are proud that you have selected our company for your product development for the last 2 years, and we will like the opportunity to resolve your concern and earn your continued trust. So to help us route your complaint to the appropriate department of development who can address your concern, we would be grateful if you can provide us with additional details about what other features you were not satisfied by filling out the attached form. The form will be including what other features he was not satisfied and what other features he felt that it could be improved. He will be sending that's an assumption. So that form will be given to him to share his view about the product. So we make sure that we keep our resources at high priority for improving the result of final product with all the necessary changes suggested and give you the fresh product in very less time. We are truly sorry for the inconvenience and hope to offer you better services in the future. Please feel to email me at or have a call at for further discussion on how can we make the product better and launch a new version of it with a smile in your face. So regards, as a project manager. So with having a customer, with positive message, with a proper communication, and also with a positive message about we care about the customers and their product and we are really concerned about their dissatisfaction, will be my approach to convince my customer. And moving forward, software development lifecycle. So it's a methodology for developing a software projects with clear defined on different phases. So requirement analysis, planning, architecture and subsystem design, coding, testing, deployment, maintenance. So this is how it goes on. This is as a project management. This is the traditional form of software development lifecycle we have been following in for the few years. So talking about the AI software development lifecycle. So in this situation, we can see that business requirements, gathering and data preparation, analysis, training, model selection and verification, deployment, and monitoring. These are the aspects that is needed in the AI software development lifecycle. So how these things are different then? So it's about software versus model. So softwares are built based on the requirements provided by during the first phase of the software development lifecycle. But in machine learning, a model is built based on a specific data sets. Software system would not fail once deployed as long as the requirements are not changed. But this is not the case with the machine learning or artificial intelligence programs. The underlying characteristics of the data might change and your model may not be giving the right result. So AI is about working with data. So modeling and testing. So we can see that let's take an example then about the AI software development lifecycle. Let's take a model that classifies dog versus cat. A very simple application. Over a period of time, your model may be tasked to classify a new breed of dog or cat. The model will split out an answer for sure. It will try to relate to the closest thing it saw during the training. But can you be sure that the result is correct? You may not right? Over the time, the target which you were predicting can change, or characteristics of the data can change, or the features used are no longer sufficient to predict. So that is why when we don't have fixed data sets, it is really difficult. So for AI based life cycle, it's for the database, it's always good to use NoSQL, as it don't have a proper data sets designed. Of course, in software, monitoring is the most of the time checking up uptime and response time. And whenever a bug is caught, the team will fix it up and deploy it again. In machine learning, as we discussed earlier, the model might give the result, but the result might be wrong. So monitoring the model inputs and the outputs become very essential. So which defines about the integrity of the data, distribution of the model inputs, package dependencies, model performance matrices, and also about the deployment infrastructure performance of that. So I just remember one deepblue.ai application, which is the tool that is used for automatically monitoring the model and data. So this is how it goes. And talking about the impact of the AI model in the project management or effect. So the data heavy requirements of the developing ML or AI application brings new roles to the software development life cycles in AI products. So to be a great project manager and to handle that kind of effect, so in this field, project managers should be familiar with some of the terms and roles above the data scientists, data engineers, and infrastructure engineers as well. So moreover, the data set should be continuously updated with the new data. So to summarize, it can take much longer time to build the right data infrastructure and prepare the data to be used, then building the machine learning model to run the data. This is a big consideration for project manager as they manage a team and think about AI scope and project estimates. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that I was able to answer all the questions that was provided to me. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me through my email. And thank you for listening to me, and it was great talking about the project management. Thank you.